Hello and welcome, everybody. We are going to get started in just a moment here. Looks like we have most of our participants with us. And I'm excited to welcome you all tonight as we begin with our presenter, Lisa Fox. We're so glad you've joined us this evening. I don't know about you, but I've experienced a lot of wanderlust over the past few months, and I'm really excited to explore Costa Rica with our very own Lisa Fox. You probably know us here at Enchanting Travels, but I wanted to reintroduce what matters to us as a company. Our top priority is to provide private, tailor-made experiences for guests like you to go on trips of a lifetime. By delivering expertise and genuine care from team members around the world, we're able to provide authentic, truly personalized travel experiences that allow guests to feel the joy of travel safely. In everything that we do, we try to enrich people's lives by sharing the joy of personalized travel in a passionate, responsible, and caring way. Well, there is no doubt this has been an unprecedented time in the travel industry. Thankfully, as Enchanting Travels is backed by the large tourism company Travelopia, we've been able to use this time to bring our expansion plans to reality more quickly than we thought possible. So in 2020, we added a number of new destinations around the globe, bringing our total country count to more than 70. We recently launched North America, including the US and Canada. We headed south to Mexico and Panama, then hopped the Atlantic to bring you trips across almost all of Europe. Iceland and Russia added to our northern portfolio, while we also explored the Middle East for the first time with destinations in Oman and the United Arab Emirates. We opened up Oceania with Australia and New Zealand, and we recently added amazing South Seas destinations, including Fiji, the Cook Islands, and French Polynesia. Before Lisa begins, I did want to mention we'll be doing a Q&A session after the presentations. If you have questions at any point, simply type them in the chat box and we'll discuss at the end. We're also going to run a few short polls during the presentation, and I'll start that first one now. All right, go ahead and take it away, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Lucia. And once again, a very warm welcome to everyone who's joining us this evening. It really is such a treat for me personally to spend this time with you and showcase one of my favorite destinations in Latin America, and that is Costa Rica. Now, one term that anyone who visits Costa Rica will most definitely encounter is La Pura Vida, which literally means pure life. And for Costa Ricans, it's a greeting to say hello, welcome, and even goodbye in a happy and positive way. But more than this, it's also a way of life. So let's take a look at why and how Costa Rica encapsulates that Pura Vida. The people of Costa Rica, known as the Ticos, as we can see a few pictures on this next slide, they're especially warm, friendly, relaxed, and living in such a paradise, they understandably feel pretty happy and feel they do have a lot to be thankful for. Costa Rica actually has one of the highest life expectancies in the world, an average of 79.1 years. And one area on the Pacific coast is one of the top 5 blue zones in the world. Now, a blue zone is an area where inhabitants commonly live active lives past the age of 100. In addition to this, Costa Rica is currently ranked as in first place by the Happy Planet Index, which measures sustainable well-being. It has one of the oldest democracies in Latin America. The army also has no standing army. This was abolished in 1948 with the funds reallocated to education, health, and pensions. And at that time, it was said they would create an army of teachers. And decades later, Costa Rica has one of the highest literacy rates in Latin America. In fact, in 2012, Costa Rica invested more in health and education as a proportion of GDP than the UK. And 99% of the country's electricity is generated from renewable sources. And that is before we even actually get to the nature and the wildlife, which we'll do now. Now, Costa Rica hosts more than 5% of the world's biodiversity, and that's all the more impressive because it takes up only 0.03% of the planet's surface. Now prepare yourself for some whopping stats. More than 34,000 species of insect exist in Costa Rica, and quite frighteningly for me, 20,000 of those are spiders. 20,000 species of spiders, there's far more spiders than 20,000. It's also home to 10% of the world's butterfly species, which equates to over 1,000. Over 200 species of mammals, monkeys, big cats, sloths, tapirs, and much more. It's also a paradise for bird lovers with over 850 species, not to mention the hundreds of species of fish, amphibians, reptiles, from big cats to colourful tiny little frogs. This country is home to some of the most exotic creatures on the planet. And then, of course, there's the flora itself, 9,000 species of plants, including 1,200 species of orchids. So why is Costa Rica so biodiverse? And allow me to get a wee bit scientific, which isn't always my strong point. But anyway, as we can see from this map, its geographic position in the neotropic means it receives more solar energy throughout the year. And the Isthmian bridge between the two continental masses of North America and South America has allowed the passage of some groups of plants and animals in both directions, not to mention the 800 miles of coastline on the Pacific and the Caribbean side. The geological history as well has resulted in different types of soils in which different types of plants grow. And Costa Rica has 121 volcanic formations, of which 7 volcanoes are active. The altitude as well of the mountainous system provides varied microclimates and the climate in general. The temperature, the wind, the air, the humidity, and of course the rain all sustain the varied ecosystems and their even more varied inhabitants. But importantly, another huge contributing factor is the human factor and the ongoing commitment to sustainability and environmental protection in Costa Rica. It is a global leader in sustainable tourism, and it has been for decades. 25% of the land is dedicated to national parks, reserves, and wildlife refuges, and many of these lands were designated in the 70s, setting the stage for businesses to thrive in an environment that supports and embraces preservation whilst helping visitors travel in a sustainable way. Local communities, private enterprises, and of course the natural environment all win in this sustained commitment to responsible travel. Now, without further ado, let's take a whistle-stop journey together and get a glimpse of this beautiful country and La Pura Vida. As you can see here on this map, we'll be visiting the capital, San Jose. Then we'll be heading south and going to the wild and pristine Osa Peninsula on the Pacific coast. Zooming back north and going into the interior to Arenal and home to one of the world's most active volcanoes. Then we'll be heading to the cloud forest of Monteverde and finishing off, as many great journeys do, at the beach, in this case the North Pacific coast. So let's start off in the capital of San Jose itself. San Jose is nestled in the Central Valley, surrounded by lush green hills and mountains. It's home to one of 2 international airports, the other being in the North Pacific area, and therefore is a common entry and exit point. It's a hub for everything related to economy and politics, and although most ticos will complain that the traffic is congested, it is often overlooked as a destination in its own right. San Jose does have its own allure, and it's definitely worth a day and an overnight to explore. In terms of the culture and history, the city grew in importance as a tobacco centre and then a major centre for coffee production in colonial times. And to this day, amongst the modern buildings, there are some very well preserved historic neighbourhoods where colonial Spanish mansions have been turned into galleries and museums, all of which play a part in the city's lively art scene. The building on this picture, this next picture here, is the most revered in the city, the Teatro Nacional, the National Theatre, modelled on the Paris Opera House. And with a private guide, you can enjoy a walking tour, strolling through Avenida Central, admiring the colonial buildings, getting a glimpse into that hustle and bustle of everyday life for the Ticos in the city. And you can also visit the centuries-old Central Market, which showcases an amazing variety of fresh produce from across the country. It's the perfect place to sample some of those amazing tropical fruits, and also not to mention the delicious coffee before you set out to explore the rest of the country. If you are staying in the city, one of our favourite properties is the Grano De Oro, which translates to grain of gold. This tropical Victorian style building was an upmarket family residence built at the turn of the 20th century. And in 1991, it opened its doors as the first upmarket boutique hotel in San Jose after being lovingly upgraded and expanded. It's still gaining acclaim today, and it was awarded the top hotel in Central America and the Caribbean by Condé Nast in 2019. The 40 rooms cover 7 different categories, from standard to the palatial style Vista Oro suite, which you can see here on the left-hand side. In the standard and the other rooms, bright interiors are showcased and very spacious and comfortable. Whereas in the suites, you can enjoy the colonial charm and grandeur with wood paneling and antique furnishings, and feel like you're taking a step back in time. What's more, the hotel itself also has one of the best restaurants in the city. At the helm is a French chef who's developed the art of blending Costa Rican tropical ingredients and French Mediterranean cuisine. And you can enjoy fine dining and charming ambience in this elegant inner courtyard. And then, of course, in keeping with the strong commitment to sustainable development, the owners of the hotel and the restaurant are the founders and the primary financial supporters of their own project, Casa Luz. This is a home for adolescent mothers and their children, and the home provides a safe haven with the ultimate goal of teaching its residents the life skills needed to achieve a productive and independent future. Now, as well as staying in the city, you could also venture out into the outskirts of San Jose. As I mentioned, San Jose rose in prominence as a major centre for coffee production, and to this day, there are many coffee plantations in the surrounding hillsides. And the outskirts do make a perfect location even for ending your trip if you're flying out of San Jose. Many properties not only being set in lush surroundings with stunning views, but also with top-class spa facilities, a great opportunity to rejuvenate before your journey home. And Zandari is one of the properties which we feel is a perfect example of this. Art and architecture are the highlights, and the hotel offers 24 spacious villas nestled on a 40-acre plantation. Each of the rooms has a unique design, and as you can see here, very tropical and bright colours with stunning views across the Central Valley itself. The private forest reserve that the property enjoys has natural waterfalls and trails that offer excellent hiking, bird spotting opportunities, and 3 pools, such as the one here, offer unique views of the coffee plantations in the Central Valley. They also have a yoga studio, a wide range of natural treatments are offered at the spa village, and of course the property incorporates a range of activities to meet its 4 out of 5 star rating or 5 leaf rating in sustainability. This includes a plant a tree program for guests, which they can get involved in, energy and water conservation, organic composting, and of the 57 staff, 44 are employed from the small village where the hotel is located. So ensuring economic development for the local community as well. And now, leaving the city, let's head for the Osa Peninsula. The Osa Peninsula is a true world-class rainforest destination, which National Geographic has called one of the most biologically intense places in the world. It brings together stunning tropical landscapes, exotic wildlife. The peninsula is bordered on 3 sides by tropical seas, and it has a complex system of salt and fresh water, which sustains rich aquatic flora and fauna. And one of the highlights of this peninsula is the Corcovado National Park. Now, in itself, it has 13 major ecosystems, including lowland rainforest, highland cloud forest, palm forest, mangroves, coastal marine and beach habitats. And this park itself has 2.5% of the world's biodiversity. Now, remember that Costa Rica has 5%, therefore, half of all the biodiversity in Costa Rica can be found in this one national park. So let's meet some of its residents. Of course, it's home to endangered animals like the jaguar and puma, who are a little bit more elusive and hard to spot. But when you do visit there, you're very likely to encounter one of the, or maybe all four of the monkey species that exist in Costa Rica: the howler monkey, the spider, the squirrel, the capuchin, both sloth species, the three-toed sloth and the two-toed sloth, the endangered Baird's tapir, and it also is home to one of the largest populations of scarlet macaws, who share it with around 400 other bird species. And unsurprisingly, there are some wonderful eco-lodges in this area, ranging from simple to upmarket, allowing you to be immersed in pristine natural surroundings without having to rough it. Each, of course, of the properties offer an array of activities with expert guides who will really show off the all-stars of the area, the flora and the fauna, both on land and in sea. And one of the properties that we love is El Romanzo. And I'm just in love with their tagline. They say they are an upscale wildlife lodge born of adventure, rooted in the wilds of Costa Rica's last frontier, and interwoven with the Osa Peninsula's most personalized and sustainable jungle experience. To be honest with you, I'm sold on that tagline alone. But in addition, they do have amazing eco-villas and rooms offering forest and ocean views with all-mode cons, plunge pools, private balconies. You know, you can almost imagine having your morning coffee whilst watching the toucans perched in the treetops. In addition, they do have extremely extensive grounds, their own network of trails through the reserve, primary and secondary forest, and also even leading to the beach as well. And also in the air, they have their own network of suspension bridges. In addition, a wide range of activities await, as we can see here: nature walks, rappelling, zip lining, nocturnal hikes, kayaking, surfing, whale watching, horseback riding, and you can enjoy this all the while knowing that the hotel places sustainability at its core. Renewable energy, locally sourced produce, exclusively local staff and management, and community projects including environmental education at schools to beach cleaning, ensuring that future generations can enjoy this paradise. Now, before we leave here, let's take a moment for our next poll. And I'm curious in finding out some of the results of this poll as well, before we head off to our next destination. So I'll give you a moment to answer that before we then move on. Oh, some interesting stats coming in. Okay, perfect. So now let's head to Arenal. Arenal is one of the most visited areas in Costa Rica, and for good reason. It's home to the active volcano of the same name, as we can see in this lovely picture here. And the landscape itself is just sublime. Framed against a majestic backdrop of forest-covered volcanic mountains, this destination perfectly combines nature, adventure, and relaxation. And from some of those poll results, I can see that that meets with your expectations of what you would enjoy doing and be most interested in on your journey to Costa Rica. As you can see on this next slide, adventurous activities like zip lining, whitewater rafting, volcano trekking, to the more serene hanging bridges, river floating and nature walks, as well as the chance for nocturnal wildlife viewing. Arenal is really a paradise for outdoor lovers. And in addition to all of that, there is a fabulous tour that we loved, which goes to an agroecological farm. Our guests love it. It's perfect for all ages. And basically, this farm provides an insight into the sustainable use of natural resources and how they preserve Costa Rican traditions as well. And as you can see on this next slide, the tour is very hands-on. In addition, guests will learn how to milk a cow if they don't know how to do that already. Tasted homemade liqueurs, liquors, I should say, if age permits. Or for all the family, chocolate and fresh milk can be taste tested too. And you can also participate in sugarcane extraction. In addition, there's an opportunity to gain insights into some ancient indigenous practices and put them into work in the artisanal process of making chocolate from bean to bar, or I should probably say from pod to bar. You also can walk through the orchids and medicinal plant garden, and of course enjoy farm fresh favorites such as coffee, cheese, tortillas, and more. So for me, I think it's a fabulous opportunity to gain memorable insights into Costa Rican culture, customs, and tradition. And then another highlight of Arenal is its close proximity to this ecological treasure trove on the next slide. This is Caño Negro Wildlife Refuge near the Nicaraguan border. It is off the beaten path, but well worth the effort, as the wetlands are a must for bird lovers. It's home to hundreds of species and is positioned smack in the middle of the flyway for migrant North and South American birds. Millions of birds arrive here to winter during the dry season beginning in December. And for the bird fans out there on the slide here, going for top left and clockwise, we have the black-bellied whistling duck. Next to that, we have the black-necked stilt, and then going down, we have the roseate spoonbill, and then finally the neotropic cormorant. And that's not to mention the iguanas, the river turtles, the caimans, the crocodiles, the jaguars, the cougars, the sloths, the capuchin monkeys, the spider monkeys, the howler monkeys, and so much more. Now, this refuge is best enjoyed on a boat safari, drifting along with your eagle-eyed expert guide, spotting birds and animals at every turn. And after a day of ziplining, wildlife watching, milking cows, or all of the above, you have the world-class hot springs to relax in and enjoy. Almost all hotels in Arenal offer their own hot springs. In addition, we can also arrange visits to the most impressive hot spring complexes, such as Ecotermales or Tabacon, and Tabacon itself has a hotel also. So spend hours soaking in the hot and cold pools and waterfalls dotted around the lush natural environment. It is truly heaven. Talking from experience on that one. However, I didn't spend long enough as I would have liked the next time. Now, from rainforest and volcanoes, let's move to the cloud forest, and there is no better than Monteverde, packed with hiking trails throughout, offering you a chance to encounter the diverse tropical flora and fauna. And whilst there is an opportunity to enjoy hanging bridges and zipline, or canopy as they call it in Costa Rica, throughout the country, Monteverde is home to the very first zipline. It was actually developed as a way for biologists and researchers to be amongst the treetops, studying the flora and fauna. And to this day, it still offers some of the best, the most expansive and some of the most exhilarating in-the-air experiences. Zip lines, hanging bridges, and even open-air gondolas, the perfect combination of outdoors, nature, and adrenaline. And what's more, Monteverde is also home to the largest butterfly garden in the Americas. It's a huge dome structure which houses 30 species of butterfly. And as you wander through this extensive dome, your expert guide explains the fascinating metamorphosis of these beautiful creatures, from caterpillar to chrysalis, where you can even watch some of the butterflies emerge from the chrysalis. On the same complex, there's also a wonderful hummingbird garden where you can sit and enjoy watching these colourful birds zip around you as they seek out a coveted spot at the nectar feeders. And that's before we actually get right into the cloud forest itself. The cloud forest covers 26,000 acres. It draws roughly 70,000 visitors a year. And the reserves consist of 6 ecological zones, 90% of which are virgin forest. So unsurprisingly, it's epically biodiverse. It consists of over 2,500 plant species, including the most orchid species in a single place, 100 species of mammals, 400 bird species, 120 reptilian and amphibian species, and thousands of insects, drawing both scientists and tourists alike. Spend some time with a private expert guide who will point out the multiple biozones and the unique flora and fauna that are found in this lush and wondrous ecosystem. And you might even be lucky enough to spot the colourful, resplendent quetzal, as we can see here on this slide, a cherished experience for any keen bird lover. In terms of properties, there are some great options in Monteverde, and one of our favourites is Hotel Belmar. As you can see, it's quite a charming Alpine-esque lodge-style property, and it's achieved the very coveted 5-leaf award for sustainability. The hotel's commitment to environment as well as the local community has been unyielding for over 30 years. It's seen the town transform from pre-tourism agricultural society to a thriving modern ecotourism destination. And the hotel has played a key part in this transformation, offering a new kind of employment that allows for social mobility and education and sustainability. The comfortable rooms are in keeping with the lodge style, as we can see on this next slide, using lots of wood, and they all have private balconies with stunning views overlooking the surrounding forest and gardens. But one thing in particular that I do that for me makes this hotel extra special are the activities that it offers. They offer a fabulous farm-to-table experience where guests visit the hotel's carbon-neutral farm to learn about low-impact farming and cooking methods. They also have their own on-site organic brewery, one of the first breweries in Costa Rica, and they produce 3 types of beers, all delicious, I am sure. And they even have a very interesting and fun garden to glass cocktail making class. Starting in the organic garden, guests will pick their herbs, flowers and botanicals to blend into a cocktail under the expert guidance of the hotel's mixologist. And what's more, of course, in keeping with their 5-leaf award, they actively promote Pack for a Purpose, which encourages and advises visitors on what they can bring and donate to support the local communities that they're visiting. Now, we will end our whistle-stop tour of Costa Rica with the stunning beaches of the North Pacific. This extensive area of the Pacific coastline stretches for hundreds of kilometres, and with the least amount of rainfall in the country, it's the perfect place for some beach time and for some rest and relaxation. Now, we offer 9 different beach locations in this destination alone, and whilst we don't have time to visit all 9 beaches this evening, allow me to present 3 of them. And the reason I've selected this 3 is because they each showcase something that little bit different. So we'll start off with Playa Hermosa, and as the name suggests, it's one of the best kept and most beautiful beaches in Costa Rica. It has 2 kilometres of grey sand surrounded right to the edge by tropical forest. It's perfect for swimming and snorkeling. It has restaurants and hotels right on the beach, and it's also the ideal beach location for families and those looking for quality mid-range accommodation. Like most hotels in the North Pacific coast, you can also find a range of land activities to choose from, or of course you could simply relax and have some downtime at the beach. One of the hotels that we like in this area is Hotel Bosque Del Mar. It really is a super mid-range property, and as the name suggests, enjoys both the highlights of the forest, the bosque, and the sea itself, El Mar, in its prime beachside location. As I mentioned, it's this area and this hotel in particular is great for families, as all of the rooms are spacious suites with a separate living area. And they also have some wonderful ocean view suites, which feature private open air jacuzzis. So perfect for family and hosting all of family in one room. In terms of activities, guests, the hotel can arrange paddleboarding, diving, snorkeling, sunset sailing, jet skis, fishing, and also inland the hotel organises tours to nearby national parks, of course canopy and zipline, horseback riding, whitewater rafting, and even ATV adventure tours as well. Our next beach or area that we will visit is the Peninsula Papagayo. This peninsula is just 1 hour from Liberia Airport. It's an ideal location for honeymooners and has a particular focus on upmarket and luxury guests, those who are looking for more exclusive and upscale, all-inclusive resort-style accommodation. The Peninsula Beaches, as we can see on this next slide, are very secluded. They have generally calm waters, mesmerizing ocean views, as well as lush tropical greenery at every turn. and the year-round warm waters surrounding the peninsula are ideal for those who love to spend time on the beach. The next slide gives you a glimpse of one of the luxury properties that we work with there. That's the Andaz Costa Rica Resort by Hyatt. This property in itself boasts 3 private beaches, world-class golf, an extensive activity program, and distinctive dining experiences, all within a pristine 1,400-acre private peninsula. It really is the perfect place to relax, rejuvenate, and indulge. All of its 150 rooms and suites face the bay from a hillside perch, with private terraces offering amazing views of the ocean or the surrounding forest. And our final stop is the town of Tamarindo, again offering something that little bit different. This small town sits on a beautiful long bay, perfect for long walks along the beach. It's also a famous surfing spot, so it does attract a younger demographic as well, and offers a range of accommodation from simple to upmarket. The town has a very vibrant nightlife with many restaurants and bars, so it's perfect for those who are wanting a more lively beach experience. And one of the properties that we enjoy working with is a wonderful 4-star beachfront boutique option called Capitan Suizo. You can tell the nationality of the owners in the name. It has actually been voted in the top 10 hotels in Central America and the Caribbean every year since 2015 in Condé Nast's Reader's Choice Awards. The hotel is set amongst, as you can see here in this image, it's set amongst native trees in a mature, organically maintained garden, which is home to an array of wildlife in itself. And the hotel also maintains the highest 5-leaf award in sustainable tourism, reflecting its commitment to the key pillars of environment, society, culture, and economic development. The 35 rooms range from spacious bungalows to beachfront rooms and suites, and the hotel has a range of facilities, including a large swimming pool and a spa and a gym. If you do want to do more than simply relax, the concierge team will be able to advise on a range of options, from boogie boarding to snorkeling and surfing, or visits to the nearby national parks. And this is just a flavour of the beaches that we can offer. Importantly, when planning a beach stay for our guests, we always like to ask the question, what is your idea of the perfect beach? This question ensures that our experts can handpick your dream beach destination. And luckily, this area of Costa Rica has so many options, we are sure to find the right one for you. And here we will end our whistle-stop tour of Costa Rica, from bustling city to pristine rainforest to volcanoes to cloud forest, beach, and all in much less than an hour. So I'm quite exhausted. And before I hand back over to Lucia, who has been diligently gathering your questions, let's move on and have our final poll.
Thank you so much, Lisa. We'll leave that poll up for a moment, and I see a couple questions in our chat box. So if anyone wants to finish the poll and add to that, we're happy to answer those specifically as well. Just give you a moment here. But Lisa, let's get started with the first question, which is the best month to visit Costa Rica?
Yeah, that's a great question. Dry season itself runs from December through April. So that's a great time to visit the country. Great for wildlife viewing, and of course, less rainfall as well. The one thing I would just caution about traveling at that time of year is extremely popular and busy. Peak season dates tend to be over Christmas and New Year, also going into spring break and the Easter holidays as well. So it's a great time to travel, but also a very popular time to travel. An alternative could be going in rainy season, and that runs from May through to November, with the worst of the rain really being September to November, which I would probably try and avoid unless you absolutely love rain. And that allows the opportunity for some other wildlife viewing, whale watching. Also, you'll have the chance to see some turtle nesting on the Caribbean side. I hope that answers the question.
Oh, I would love to see the turtles nesting. That sounds beautiful. Another one for you. How long, if you wanted to do absolutely everything, maybe not every beach, but if you wanted to do a lot of those locations that we walked through, how long of a trip would you recommend?
Um, for those locations that we walk through in ourselves, I think, you know, 14 days is is a nice amount of time for Costa Rica. It really depends how interested you are in nature and wildlife as well. I mean, as I said, um, 25% of the country's national parks and refuges, and there's a huge diversity within that as well. You know, much more than just a rainforest. There's cloud forests, mangroves, and so I would say if you're super interested in nature, you could spend 3 weeks to a month there. If you want to just get a flavour of it all, whilst going at a reasonable pace, probably 2 weeks. And on the subject of pace, that's something to bear in mind as well. Whilst Costa Rica is relatively small, getting around the country is generally done over land, but equally the logistics and the haulage traffic does use the same routes as well. So road journeys can take a while. So it's best to maybe plan at least 3 nights in each place. That'll allow you 2 days to actually explore the place itself. So 2 weeks plus, I would say, would be spot on.
That makes a lot of sense. Next one is, it sounds very safe. How is the COVID pandemic? And then also, how is social and crime problems as compared to neighboring countries?
Great question. Great question. Let's deal with the pandemic side of things first of all. Now, Costa Rica has actually been open to international tourists since about September time, and we've been operating quite a few trips there. They take it extremely seriously. They realise it's a health issue, it's not a political issue, if I can say that. So mask wearing is mandatory. Hotels and restaurants have limited capacity, which actually means that just now is one of the best times to visit because you really can have a socially distanced vacation. So mask wearing is taken very seriously. They're well versed in biosafety protocols. So really it is a very safe country to travel in that regard, and they're now used to one of the countries who's most experienced in delivering high quality tourism in pandemic times.
Yeah.
And equally, we can help if there are requirements when guests are returning home for PCR tests, then equally we can arrange that for guests with their local partner. So that's the pandemic side of things.
Yep.
In terms of just generally safety and crime, Costa Rica is an extremely safe country to visit. They do have a lot of refugees that come from or people traveling from Nicaragua, but it's extremely safe to visit in itself, and also tourism is a key. It's the main industry for them as well. So they are so invested. The communities, the people there are so invested in ensuring that those who are visiting have an excellent time, a safe time, and want to come back.
That makes a lot of sense. Another one here. How far in advance should I plan a trip to Costa Rica?
Another great question. And it's kind of an answer that's a little bit informed by the times that we're living in, I guess. I mean, I would always say peak season, Christmas and New Year, plan well in advance. Easter holidays or spring break, plan well in advance. And normally that well in advance, I'd be saying to people maybe, 8 months out, maybe a year out. However, what we have found is already for the end of this year, there are a lot of availability challenges because those who didn't want to travel, even though they could have done, but those who chose not to travel in this past Christmas and New Year have postponed their trips to the end of this year. So we're running into availability challenges already. If you're thinking about a trip at the end of this year, which also coincides with the best time to travel, I would really start moving on it ASAP. If you miss out for this year on the properties you want and the experience that you want, I would also say that there's no harm in even pushing forward and getting that set in stone for 2023.
Yeah, and just another note there is that our industry research is showing that airline prices are probably going to go up 15 to 20, 25% in the next 30 to 60 days. So now is a really wonderful time to get that next trip on the books. Got another one here, which is better for photography. I imagine a lot of people who are interested in wildlife photography would be just in heaven in Costa Rica. So which would be better for photography, renting a car or doing a tour?
Um, I guess it depends. It depends on our guests. Some guests are very comfortable with rental car. The only word of caution I would give with that is, don't expect to get from A to B in super quick time. But if you're wanting to take your time, then that's fine. Um, Now, when we organize a tour for you, we do it in a couple of ways. So we can either plan it. So if you're going between destinations, it's simply a straight drive with a private driver, or we can actually arrange to have a guide at your disposal and take the whole day going there as well. And that means that the guide can suggest en route places to stop, to pause for taking pictures as well. But bearing in mind also that it's not just on the road that you'll have the chance to view animals. A lot of the activities we offer, you're actually going walking or hiking or on, or even on boat rides and safaris as well. So really, it depends on the guest. If you're comfortable driving, go at your own pace, absolutely. But don't feel if you don't want to drive, you'll miss out. We can arrange it so that the guide goes with you and goes at your own pace and gives you that opportunity to take as many photos as you want.
Yeah, and I would add from my own personal experience to definitely get the GPS if you're renting, going the rental route. I got very pleasantly lost many times. It was lovely getting lost, but didn't get anywhere very fast. I think we have time for one more here. And I think you've already answered a couple of these with when can I travel, and what do we need to test to get back home. Which region do you recommend for someone who has never been there before?
Um, I think depending on length of time that you've got, let's imagine you don't have a lot of time. I think a really nice trip would cover maybe 3 destinations in about 10 days, something like that. So perhaps arrival into San Jose, an overnight there. And then I think, what I presented to you are some of my favorite spots. I think Arenal is just amazing for the hot springs and the wildlife and the proximity to Caño Negro as well. Monteverde, the experience there is just sublime in terms of the cloud forest also, and then end at the beach. So I think that gives you a great combination of the diversity of the wildlife that Costa Rica has to offer, whilst at the same time it gives you a chance to do some of the most adventurous activities like white water rafting, of course, zip lining, and so on, and also that little bit of R&R at the end to collect your thoughts and think about all the stunning things that you've just seen.
Oh, that totally makes sense. That sounds, you convinced me. I want to go back.
I want to go back too. I've convinced myself.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa. Thanks for all of your in-depth knowledge, and we appreciate you sharing with us, and thank you to all of our participants who joined us this evening. Although we only covered Costa Rica, we do have destinations in over 70 countries across the world, and we continue to expand. So Lisa will be following up with any additional questions you have. And also, as we exit, you'll see a short survey, and we would really appreciate it if you could give us your feedback about this experience so that we can continue to produce these and provide an in-depth and entertaining adventure while we're all feeling that wanderlust. So, and of course, we're happy to share any thoughts and ideas you have about what you think your next dream trip might be. So thank you again and have a good evening.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.